These are the worst losses of the Greater Western Sydney Giants Football Club in their entire existence. Normally it's just this century, but they're a new club. Joining me as the host of the They Might Become Giants podcast and brilliant actor, Alex Williams. GWS have had a good, you're what, 12 years old?
12 years old.
And pretty good decade. I mean, North Melbourne fans would be very envious of what you've got.
Of Josh Kelly and the rest of it, yeah.
But even though it's a new club, you've fallen hard. So this must hurt as much as, you've got legitimacy is what we're saying. So many people would be turning on and going, oh, what would a GWS fan know? Shut up. This guy bleeds.
It's true. I do bleed charcoal and orange. But I've been a hardcore fan basically since day dot. I moved to Sydney the year that they started and have been to, pretty much every home game that I could get to when I wasn't working. So the lows, they hurt. They hurt. When you get close, we've gotten close. We've won a lot of finals, but those first few years, you knew that there was pain coming. So when you know you're going to fall off the bike, it doesn't hurt as much. But when you have the expectation,
yes,
that's when it hurts you.
It's the hope that kills you.
Yeah.
Because one thing, when the Bulldogs lose to the Giants, the thing I hate the most is I'm apoplectic with rage to lose to our rivals. But then I hear bum 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 bum, and I love that song so much. But I'm hearing it with that, so you must be doubly annoyed. You don't get to hear that wonderful song.
It's brutal. It's brutal. I mean, everyone loses.
All right, let's get this over with. What's number 5?
Giants Eagles 2016. Now this is the first Giants game that I took my father to, who came over from WA. Nice. He's a West Coast supporter. Okay. And we went up in and we were watching the game together, and at 3/4 time we looked like we had it wrapped up. And he... Are you
giving it... What's the relationship there with your dad? You ribbing him, or is it like...
Oh, yeah. Okay. We're very competitive people. We're definitely ribbing each other all day. But then he left at 3/4 time to go catch his flight. Oh. And Nick Naitanui sealed the game around the corner.
Such a good goal.
It was an incredible goal. And we've been quite good that season. And it was one of those... I turned to where he should have been and went, thank God he's not here. Because it just would have been... I just ended up, my phone just started going off and I went, oh, here we go. I'm going to be hearing about this for weeks.
But the upside, you got to stay in Sydney. He had to go home to Perth.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Number 4.
Giants at Richmond at the MCG in 2019. Not that one, not the other one. The one against the Tigers at the MCG, where Stephen Cornelio in full long sleeves, the white long sleeves,
good. It's a good look.
It's a great look. Yes. He injured his knee and was out for the rest of the season, and it was just at that point of the season where you didn't want to lose your best midfielders, but it was also just an atrocious game. We looked terrible, and they were all over us, and it was. We were competing hard that year. We were fighting back. We were storming towards finals. But Richmond got us 3 times that year. We know about the last one. But that game in particular, I remember sitting at the Dove and Olive in Surrey Hills watching that game upstairs with my friends and going, this doesn't feel good. It was one of those moments where I went, losing your best player, who had just signed on as well.
Yeah. Great contract.
And those long contracts that we like to hand out at the Giants, you don't want them starting off with an ACL. Let me just say that much.
And when you go with mates too, you have to find a pub in Western Sydney to watch the Giants. Do you get weird looks from? Can we put the Giants games on?
I had one the other day actually. So this is what my podcast is about. It's about finding pubs in Western Sydney to watch AFL games. And we had to go to one place where I asked them to turn. There was no one there. No one there. Yep. Asked them to turn on the AFL, and they went, "Oh, that's not programmed into the TV." As in, they had every other Fox channel except Fox Footy. They had to go down and kind of plug it in.
You make them do that,
and I did.
Good.
Terrible game. Hated it.
Number 3.
Round 7, 2018 in Cardinia Park against Geelong. This is just one of those games where you think, why do I watch this sport? Why can't we move the ball? Why can't we get the ball? This is peak Leon Cameron era of contested slow football, repeat clearances, and it was painful to watch. We could not score. We just could not score. And they belted us. Tom Hawkins belted us. And very frustrating to watch. First time I felt like we were watching witches' hats.
It felt like that year of Geelong as well. We were just waiting for him to fall off the perch. Come on, guys, you've been good for 11 years. It's time to just relax, play the kids, and then they'd have a few off weeks, and then they'd get you.
Yeah. We were supposed to be good that year. I mean, we played quite well that year, and GMHBA was just not a happy hunting ground like it is now for the Giants. So thank God that has turned away, and that is the new G Stadium. For us, we'll take it. Don't put that in. Thank you.
The second worst loss in the history of the GWS, according to Alex Williams.
Round 9, 2022. This was so disappointing because it was a loss to Carlton, but it was Leon Cameron's farewell game. And when I say it didn't look like we cared, we were already kind of had given up on the season by this point. This is after our 2021 campaign, which ended, in a win against the Swans, knocking them out of finals.
But that was great.
We could not get through this season, and we were struggling early. And it was just disappointing. I remember being at Giants Stadium, looking down at the Guard of Honour for Leon Cameron and thinking he probably deserved a bit better after an era of sustained success. So I remember that being quite an emotional day, and I wish kind of more people had rocked up to watch it as well.
Do you feel, though, unrelated to this, you've played the Swans in 2 finals, and you're 2 from 2.
3, isn't it?
Is it 3?
I think we've knocked him out 3 times.
How do you feel about that?
I feel great about it. I bring it up all the time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so 2021, our first finals was what?
2016.
2016.
Yep.
And then, is there another one? No, maybe it's just those 2. Okay, maybe it's just those 2.
But what is to us Victorians, what's the basic animosity between Giants and Swans? Is it just because they're geographically close, or do you hate them on a political level?
I mean, it says a fair bit about me, but yeah, I hate those clickety-clackety Citibank things that they have at the stadium. That annoys the hell out of me, but maybe that's the association with Swans fans taking selfies and not really watching the game.
And the worst loss GWS have ever had to endure. By the way, no finals. That's why we're not bringing up any, heartbreaking prelim losses or anything like that.
I don't think we need to do that.
We're not going to
even bring it up.
We're not going to. But we could talk. But these are just in the home and away season. That's what the theme of all this is. Alex Williams, go.
Round 21, 2019. Now, this was just before our finals run in 2019, which was amazing. But this was the infamous snow game in Canberra. Do you remember this?
Yes, up against Hawthorn.
This was so funny because I don't know if you remember, but Alistair Clarkson during the warm-up and whatnot had taken his shirt off, to prove how tough and how much the cold did.
Well, he famously, I think that was more about his own team. He famously wouldn't let players ever wear long sleeves.
Yes, that's right.
And so I think a few players were like, "Come on, Clarko, it's gonna snow. Let us wear long sleeves." He's like, "Nah," and so he wore shorts.
Yeah. Well, I think the Giants team wanted to wear full snow gear during that because they did not want to be there. I mean, and they flogged us. It was a bit up here. It was the first time I went, yeah, they're a little bit checked out here. But I remember thinking, yeah, I would be too. I was in Melbourne watching that game in a very, very cold house, and I remember thinking, yeah, I might throw the towel as well.
Still even there. And famously, there's that shot of the camera operator up on the scaffold.
That's right.
Just getting that. That guy's name is Rob Petherbridge, and I went to high school with him, and he's one of the best camera operators going around. Kudos to you, Robbo.
The greatest camera operator in the AFL.
Damn straight. And to lose to Hawthorn, just never.
We lost to them twice that year, I think. And yeah, painful losses. They had our number for a little bit, Hawthorn, and it was very frustrating. Don't like losing to the Poos and Wees.
And that's Alex's list. What do you get wrong? What do you get right, Giants fans? I want both of you to respond here. That's gratuitous. There is a lot of fans who listen to the They Might Become Giants podcast, which is genuinely a great podcast. What's the premise?
Basically, the premise is me convincing my NRL-loving mate from Western Sydney to watch the AFL through the lens of the Giants. But every away game, we go out to a different pub in Western Sydney and invite people along and say, hey, come watch some footy in Western Sydney and check it out. Basically, we're trying to convince pubs to put it on the TV because at this point, they won't.
I've got to say, you, as much as people will just say, oh, GWS fan of that, you are fighting the good fight. You are on the front line of the Code Wars, and we thank you for this.
Yeah, you think that the Bulldogs are the good guys in this rivalry, but it's actually the other way around.
Why are we bad? We're all good.
Yeah, we're Western Sydney. Well, it's all Western suburbs. We can make it work.
West Side.